Hey, Cavs fans, it's Spencer German, it's Spencer Davies. We're not together this time around, unfortunately. We wish we were. Spencer's on his way back from Kansas City. He was watching Game 4, but Game 7, excuse me, but he wasn't there for Game 7. But we have plenty of reaction to it along with you guys. Obviously, a massive, massive win for the Cavaliers. Spence, I know we had kind of talked pre-game Game 5 about without Jared Allen and all these different things, how it just felt very ominous around this team. I think it felt that way in the first half of this game as well. They were missing him dearly. And for them to pull it out the way they did, I mean, this game defined this team's resiliency, unlike anything we've seen, I think, throughout the entire season.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, to be down almost 20 in the first half, you've got nothing going for you at all. I think there were 6 of 26 at one point in the first half. Pretty much a clogged offense where no one could get anything going. Bodies weren't moving. Jalen Suggs was doing a phenomenal job on perimeter defense. Same with Gary Harris. The rebound battle wasn't going their way, and they were just flat out missing shots. And I'm sure it was frustrating. It had to be really tough for them. I think they had like 29 points with like 5 or 6 minutes to go in the first half. Luckily, Sam Merrill gave them a little bit of juice there to close the half. Made a couple threes. Donovan started getting downhill a little bit, and you got some good stuff from Karis LeVert just to kind of keep them afloat, because it really looked like the Magic were trying to rip their heart out right out of the gate, especially in that first quarter. But give them credit. That was big time resilience, and it wasn't on the road, but they won. They protected their home court, and that's why you get home court advantage.
Yeah, this series still hasn't technically started, Spence, because all the home teams won. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Didn't start well. First round.
It's over before it started. It's over before it started. No, I think the natural starting place beyond just kind of overall arching thoughts has to be Donovan Mitchell in this game. I mean, and really, we didn't get a chance to talk on Friday, but back-to-back games, he puts up just legendary performances. He gives you 89 points over the last 2 games, 50 on Friday, 39 today in the win. And Spence, I get it. There's been plenty of criticism heaped his direction for how last year went, getting outplayed by Jalen Brunson. There's been plenty of criticism heaped his way for not being able to get past the second round throughout his career. He, to me, stood up in the most important moments of the Cavs season, 2 closeout games, and showed you why he is definitively a star player. There shouldn't be anything bad to say about him at this point, any criticism to heap on him. He's a star who performed on that stage. That's what you're looking for from your star players in those moments.
It really is, and it's the way that he kind of went about his business in getting to the paint. Even in Game 6, I mean, he had 30 points in the paint or something like that. And then you look at the way he was getting them today as well, getting to the free throw line the way he did, uplifting his teammates the way he did, and especially hitting the glass, playing on the defensive end. You can see that he's still not 100%. He's left it out on the floor the last 2 games, and I mean, that's just what a leader does. That's what a leader does, and that's what the stars do. They show up on the stage with the brightest lights, and that's what Donovan did. I mean, you just see the way he was just in attack mode that entire second half. He wouldn't be denied. He was splitting double teams, and I get it. People, don't like the whole isolation thing, right? But in the playoffs, that's where they're the most useful, right? That's the time where guys have to take over when things aren't going the way you want them to. When guys aren't making shots, somebody's going to have to step up and do a little more, and that's what Donovan's come here for. That's what he's paid to do. And that's really what's the separator, and that's going to be big for them too in the next series.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too, it can't be understated that he's clearly laboring through this knee injury that's bugged him throughout the home stretch of the season and all that. I think he said before the series started that he was 100%, and I think maybe the way he meant that was, listen, we had a week off. I'm as close to 100% as I can be. And I think those first 2 games you saw he did play with a different intensity. He was able to jump a lot more. He was doing the dunks pregame, which is kind of the telltale sign of how good he's feeling. And that wasn't the case coming into this game. But on one leg, he was laboring through this thing to just kind of will the team to victory. Didn't work out on Friday, but it works out today. I think that just adds to his legendary status in this series as well.
Yeah, to be able to do that on, 1.5 legs, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's really admirable. And again, that's what stars do. And I think the thing that goes unnoticed, and people always want to do the divide and conquer thing when it comes to this locker room, is how much he's uplifting his teammates even in those down times. The way he embraced Darius Garland at the end of this game after making that big shot, that big corner shot, it just shows you how much he cares about what's happening right now, what's going on with this team, uplifting everybody even in the moments where things don't go right. That's just what a true leader does.
That's a really good point, and I think the Darius Garland thing needs to be. I want to stay there for a second because I was talking after the game like this. The resiliency of this team, as we hit on, it was like Donovan was Donovan. He was great, but around him, it felt like everybody kind of had a moment, and we can talk about some of those other moments. But the Darius Garland moment where he was 1 for 9 going into the fourth quarter from the floor, he gets a wide open three in the corner, misses it. Okoro gets the rebound, swings it around to Mitchell. Mitchell back to Garland. He gets a second chance at it, knocks it down. And again, I know you weren't there, but in that arena, man, like that was one of the top 3 loudest moments in the arena when he knocked that shot down for a guy that has gone through so much this season and a guy who was going through so much just in this game individually. Like 1 for 9 from the floor. He was getting booed by the crowd at one point because he was playing so poorly, and he's had such a roller coaster ride of the season. And to see him knock that shot down, and he even had a moment in this game, and then Donovan Mitchell, the first person, celebrating with him after he made that shot. It was cool. Like that was like a chilling moment, I think, for people watching. Because, listen, no matter what people want to say, and I know we've talked about this, Spence, like Garland has been through a lot this year. And I don't think that can't be lost on, yes, he's having inconsistent performances. I get why it's frustrating, but that shouldn't be lost in the conversation about how his season has gone and how his game went today.
No, 100%. And you call it, a chilly moment. It definitely gives you goosebumps. It kind of reminded me of the shot, if you remember, against the Pacers in the playoff clinching victory. When he got it back, and I think it was in the corner or on the right wing as well, and he did his little hop, right? That's when you know that Darius is engaged. He did his little hop after he shot the ball. But, yeah, it's definitely a feel-good moment just to see that happen and do it in that time, in that space, and in that quarter, because you saw how good of a game that Darius was having in Orlando, even though, the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter was just another disaster. This one, it was kind of the opposite, right? Completely in control in the fourth quarter, didn't turn the ball over, scored the majority of his points and was really looking into attack. I love the way that he drew that foul on Gary Harris when he went inside and he was over by the free throw line, did that little jumper and drew a foul there. The moment that really got me to my feet was when he went and grabbed that rebound over 3 Orlando Magic players on the baseline. It was a defensive rebound, and I think it was an 8-point game. And that really showed me that Darius wanted this badly. And, for him to come through in the late game situation here, I think shows a lot for his growth, and hopefully it does a lot for his confidence moving forward so that maybe a little bit of a weight can be taken off of his shoulders.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he can build off this going to the next series, and we will get to that coming up. But some other players that obviously stood out in this one. I mean, Max Strus, we had talked a lot, Spence, about you paid him for these moments. And, yeah, he starts 0 for 2. He's part of this really sluggish start to the game where they can't hit anything from 3. They were 2 for 11 at the half from 3. And then he comes out and he hits 3 threes in the third quarter, scores 11 points to finish with 13 for the game. Maybe not exactly what you wanted from him throughout the entire series, but in this moment, closeout game, chance to put it away in a Game 7 winner, your season's over. He stepped up. Evan Mobley, who at times struggled, he got bullied a little bit at times on the offensive end, but he came up again with multiple big blocks, multiple big rebounds. He was doing it in kind of his way in trying to leave an imprint on this game, and I thought he was great filling in for Jarrett Allen. I thought Karis LeVert had his first real big game in this series, 15 points off the bench, and he was a scoring threat. And when he's aggressive and gets going like that, he's hard to stop. You hope that can kind of pick up, and that can be a momentum starter for him going into the Boston series as well. And then even Isaac Okoro, again, he's that defensive specialist. He comes in for that reason, and he made a couple big defensive stops and plays that really sparked this team, especially in the second half. Like, it was a contagious thing throughout. Tristan Thompson, he had like one or two moments and then the crowd loved that because the crowd loves Tristan Thompson. So it like all around, it was just cool to see everybody sort of leave an imprint on this game. Like, you can go, if you go back and watch the tape, you'll see a spurt from Strus. You'll see a moment from Isaac Okoro. You'll see Karis LeVert start to take over and kind of will the team to victory as well. I thought that was a cool element to this game, especially with a team that we've talked about the depth being so important.
Yeah, I think so. And, with Max, it's funny. It always seems to come in the third quarter. If he's having an off start to a game, it's always the third quarter where he goes and rips off a couple in a row. And then he sees it go through the net and he starts to, he's always engaged throughout the game. He's always making plays on the defensive end and contesting rebounds and going after loose balls. But on the offensive end, he definitely gets more engaged when he sees the ball go through the net. I thought it was a very heady play at the end of the game. I know it seemed like it was out of reach, but to do a little backdoor cut to get that dunk to really put the cherry on top to close the game out, I thought was very smart. With Karis, I think his pace today was really good. I liked what I saw on the open floor from him, really running the floor well and either waiting for the pass or making the correct read in driving to the basket. And you mentioned Isaac Okoro. It's amazing how night and day home and road goes, but that's the typical rule for the quote unquote role players, right? But defensively, you know what you're going to get from him every time. And I was pleased to see him shoot the ball. He shot the ball, even though he didn't make some. You could tell he was confident in shooting the ball today and taking the looks that he was given, especially after passing up that huge one in Game 6. So you got that from those guys. Evan, I thought probably needed this one just to look at the film, because there were multiple times where he had a mismatch where he could have finished at the rim. Also a couple of bad plays after getting a rebound. He wanted to take care of the basketball, but couldn't get it to Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. So he looked towards the middle, and the Magic ended up getting a steal. That was in an 8-point game. You got to be smarter than that, and that's tough. But those are good things to see in film. He's going to have to be better, play more towards his size. Look, he's leaving some short on some of those plays inside, and he's better than that. We know that. But these are kind of the growing pains you have to go through. He's going to be happy that he doesn't have to see Wendell Carter Jr. anymore. He's going to be happy because Wendell Carter Jr. was just moving bodies around the whole time. He's going to be happy he doesn't have to see Paolo Banchero. Banchero is a big dude who plays bigger than his size too. And that's just a tough matchup for Evan, but Evan stuck with it. I think he finished with like 11 points, 16 boards, had a few blocks. So, he did what he needed to do in the absence of Jared Allen, but he can still get better there, and I think he knows that as well. Yeah,
6 turnovers he had to lead, which led the team in that category, which isn't great. And I agree
with the ball. Got to be stronger with the ball. Got to catch it. Got to be aware.
I think that's a true concern for him, and just at times you see that from him, right? Like he's going for a rebound, he gets out muscled for it, or he gets it ripped right out of his hands, whatever it might be. There's some things to improve on there. I think that's kind of been the case with this game this season in general in that area. But again, good that it doesn't cost you here, and you can learn from it and hopefully use it to better yourself for the next series. A player we haven't even mentioned yet, Spence, Sam Merrill. He played 11 minutes today. He had 2 big threes, and kind of you could almost credit him for being the guy that kind of started that spark for them, especially from long range. Did he earn you? We talked about it, right? Like, he needs to knock him down and he'll earn more playing time. Do you think he now earns himself more playing time in the next round against Boston?
I think he still should have in this series, had played more. I get the defensive part of it and how, the Magic had some burly guys, pushing him around on the defensive end. And, if he's not shooting them, maybe it's a non-plus thing, but he definitely opens this offense up. And to get him and Donovan on the floor together in particular, I think is important, just because of the way he can come off of screens, the way he can shoot on the move, gives a moving target, just basically like what Max Strus does. But Sam's release is a little quicker, and he's able to kind of scurry around and get guys to chase him a little more, I think. Getting him and Strus on the floor together actually would be great for their spacing too, just depending on what the matchup is and what the opposing lineup is. But yeah, you mentioned it, and I think I brought it up earlier too, that those 2 threes in the first half really kind of, all right, we got some offense going a little bit. Let's turn the tide here. He could be that, kind of, I hate this word, but he could be that kind of spark plug, like that's, what he can bring to a team. And we've seen it in extended minutes too. We haven't seen it in the playoffs, but I think that he'll be important too in this next series as well. Just somebody that can kind of give you a little bit of a jolt.
Yeah, it's well said. I do, before we sort of close the book on this series, and I have a couple questions just about the Boston series ahead. I want to real quick just highlight Paolo Banchero because you brought his name up a couple times already today. I think Spence, listen, Orlando is a young team, sort of in a similar situation the Cavs were in last year. I think Paolo has now put himself in that conversation as like one of the next great stars. Like, you want them to perform on this stage. He did it in this entire series. He had 39 points, obviously, in Game 5. He had 27 in Game 6. He had 31 in Game 3, their first game at home. His worst game, he just had the 9 points in Game 4, and Orlando won that game going away in the end, so it didn't really matter. And then today, he comes out trying to will his team to victory and drops 38, one less than Donovan Mitchell. So I think he deserves some props for just putting on the show that he did and certainly cementing himself as one of those future stars of this league.
And you know what? That's such a good thing for you to say that because, one, Paolo, the sheer size that he has, and I don't know why I said
he's tough to defend, man.
I don't know why I say he plays bigger than his size because he's a huge dude in the first place. But he is somebody that can really get to his spots. He's a confident guy. I know that he didn't have the best of shooting percentages today, but he left it all out there. He's just a guy that can really get downhill, get to the rack, just using his upper body. Very tough to keep off of his spots. And even when you do try to keep him off his spots, he's able to shoot over the top because he is so tall. Yeah. He is so, burly. So that's a guy that you're going to have to keep an eye on for a while. And I think in general too, I think a lot of Cavs fans take for granted, how tough it is to win in the playoffs, no matter who you're up against. Now, this Orlando team was definitely more equipped than, say, Cleveland was last year to handle this kind of spotlight. But, man, that Magic team deserves a ton of respect. Jamal Mosley, especially, for getting his guys ready. I think that Jalen Suggs was tremendous all series.
Yeah.
He did an awesome job on Donovan Mitchell. Donovan didn't have his best games until the last two. And obviously his first game of the playoffs was good too. But Jalen Suggs did a heck of a job, man. I thought that, even though he went for a really, really tough day today, Franz Wagner showed a lot to us as well. And that team, I think you're going to have to look out for once they get a little bit of spacing and a little bit of shooting. So,
yeah,
kudos to them.
Yeah, we said a number of times watching Paolo, like, no defense for that shot, right? Like, he was making some really good ones and, across the board.
You could send at him.
Yeah, it was crazy. All right, I want to get out of here with this as we look ahead to this next series because I know Chris Haynes, when we last saw the Celtics playing, he mentioned that it's unlikely Kristaps Porzingis plays in whatever the next matchup was going to be for Boston. What does his absence potentially for the length of this series mean from a matchup standpoint for Cleveland?
Al Horford plays the Cavs in a playoff series again. Tell me where you've seen that one.
Hey, Cavs fans that should perk their ears up because who used to own Al Horford in the playoffs?
And
Tristan Thompson.
He sees Tristan across from the other bench. You never know. But really though, the Celtics are a machine. They get it from everywhere too. Derek White is very, very hard to stop. On both ends of the floor, quite frankly. You thought that Jalen Suggs and Gary Harris were giving you issues on the defensive end. Wait till you see Drew Holiday. Wait till you see Derek White. Those guys are relentless on the defensive end. And they can score too. You got guys like Peyton Pritchard off the bench as well that can get it going. Sam Hauser's a heck of a shooter. You've got it coming from all angles. It's not just Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It's all of those guys. Now, Kristaps Porzingis is huge for them because he's a stretch five, right? Al Horford's going to be able to do that for you, but not quite in the way that Kristaps can. He can't attack off the dribble as quickly as Kristaps can, and he doesn't have as quick of a set shot as Kristaps does. But they're going to probably play Luke Kornet. Luke Kornet's a very proven guy as far as the defender goes, and he can shoot the ball a little too. So again, they'll have their hands full. The Celtics are a favorite for a reason. It's a tough team to play, and they have a lot to throw at you. So I'm looking forward to this series just because this is the true test. This is a championship test for the Cavs, and if they want to get to where they're going, they have to play a series that shows they're going in that direction. And I think a little bit of pressure is a little off them because they won this first series for the Cavs, that is. But this is going to hit them hard if they're not prepared.
Yeah, there is almost like a playing with house money style feel to this because nobody's going to pick the Cavs to win. I think they're like plus 850 or something like that on all the betting apps. Like nobody's expecting them to. So if they can go in and maybe surprise some people, that'd be a big feather in their cap, and we'll see what they can do, guys.
Game one spread is 11 in favor of the Celtics, by the way. So that's pretty telling.
Yeah. Well, and Cavs coming off of a longer series. Donovan Mitchell banged up. There's a lot of different factors there. We'll see how it all plays out. Maybe Jared Allen's back. Maybe he's not. We'll see. It sounded like Donovan was maybe somewhat optimistic that he could be. So, hey, you want to know that information, you know where to find us. You can find us at the Cavs Insider YouTube channel. You can find us over at si.com/NBA/Cavaliers. We'll have you covered on all the latest news moving up to the series. I can tell you game one, obviously Tuesday, that's been set. Game two is Thursday in Boston. And then the first game of the series back here in Cleveland will be coming your way Saturday. So chance to see your Cavaliers play back at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse a little less than a week from now. So, guys, there's going to be a lot to cover. You know where to find us. I'm glad we could get and react to this with you. Enjoy this one, Cavaliers fans, and keep on following along at si.com/Cavaliers or /NBA/Cavaliers. Take it easy, guys.